Welcome to Steve Couper's podcast for aspiring real estate investors. Today, my guest is the managing director of Urban Edge Investments. For more than 20 years, he's been developing and investing in real estate across Western Canada. He's completed more than 20 projects worth over 40 million. And while building that reputation for disciplined investing and thoughtful community development, he's also establishing himself in this industry as a well-respected individual. So with a background that now spans international business, management consulting, corporate leadership, and real estate development, Trent Praski brings a unique perspective on creating wealth through real estate while addressing the growing need for attainable housing. So today, I'd like to help walk through that journey a little bit with Trent. And so before we go too far, though, Trent, why don't you tell me what I got wrong in that introduction and help set it straight?
Got it 100% right. Way to go. A
Okay.
plus.
Tell me a little bit about yourself that wasn't in there.
Story. So yeah, as you said, before my real estate career, I was doing different things. So I used to be a teacher. I taught for 2 years, didn't really like it. Went back to university, did an MBA, worked in consulting, as you mentioned, and then my last job was a pharmaceutical sales job, which I got laid off back 20 years ago, so 2007. And so at the time, I knew nothing about real estate. I had two rental condos. And, yeah, that's all I knew, how to rent a condo out to a tenant or two. But when I got laid off, I had a severance package from the company, and I'm like, "This is a good time now to investigate more on the real estate side," 'cause I really loved it. I didn't really wanna be a realtor, and I didn't really know what else was out there. So, perfect timing, I went to a seminar in Edmonton that my brother invited me to, and the guy in the seminar said he was a very, very wealthy guy, and he said the best way he's seen to make money in real estate is condo conversion. So buying old apartment buildings, renovating the buildings, strata titling them and selling them. And at that exact moment as well, one of those two rental condos that I had was a strata conversion that I just bought, and I was living in it. So I learned more about the whole process, and then I'm like, "Okay, I got some time and a little bit of severance package. I'm gonna buy a building, I'm gonna strata title it, and let's see where this goes." So on the drive back from Edmonton to Calgary, got on the phone. I had another condo in Saskatoon, so I called my property manager there, and I said, "Do you know any smaller buildings, like 6 units or 8 units maybe, that I can do this strata conversion thing on it?" And he goes, "No, I don't know that many small ones," but he goes, "I have one that's an 18-unit one that's not listed yet, but I know the seller's hungry to sell it soon." So he put me in touch with the broker that was selling it, and again, serendipitous. It happened to be a building that I lived across when I was in university, so I knew everything about the neighborhood, the bus routes, everything about this neighborhood. And so I'm like, well, that's quite interesting, and it wasn't on the market, so I had a little bit of time to deal with the broker on that. Long story short, ended up buying it. That was my first project. I made 3 times more than I did on my salary from my pharmaceutical job. The company called me back after the restructured. They offered my job back, and I just said no. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and just continued from there. So it was just a kind of a lucky start, I guess you could say. It couldn't have gone much better.
Meant to be, meant to
Yeah.
be. So, hey, you're still working, developing. If you look at the projects you're doing now, and then look back on that first one. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's episode, the Savvy Investor. One thing I've learned in my real estate journey is that success isn't just about finding great deals. It's about surrounding yourself with the right people, the right education, and the right support network. And that's exactly what Savvy Squad provides. Whether you are just getting started or already building a portfolio, you'll gain access to weekly live coaching, expert guest presenters, deal analyzers, training resources, market updates, and a community of like-minded investors who are all working toward exactly the same goal as you, financial freedom through real estate. So right now, if you scan this QR code, you can take advantage of a 14-day free trial and a special membership rate of $147 a month. Now, that's a savings of over $600 off your membership. So check out Savvy Squad today and see how far the right community can take you. And now, let's get on with the show.
Yeah, I think the one thing, Steve, would be focusing more on the capital raising side of things.
Yeah.
I think when I started, I mean, 20 years ago, again, properties were quite cheap. I mean, that 18 unit building I bought for under 1 million. So, I mean, I had enough capital of my own to do it. As I kind of grew a bit, I had the odd friend or family as an investor, but I never really focused at all doing that on scale, right? So had I done that 20 years ago, I'm sure I'd have a bigger investor pool than I do today. But hey, the good news is you can always learn and you can always grow from today, right? So
Raising capital is a big part of this business. It's something that's isn't realized by most of the newbies to the extent it should be. It's certainly something I feel you need to do before you commit yourself to a property rather than in reverse. Otherwise, you could really be pedaling underwater fast.
that's right.
Um, so I mean, I have driven past many a property, and it's got a for sale sign. It's a blank canvas. What do you see as a developer when you're looking for opportunities? You certainly must have some artistic lens that you're looking through things and seeing possibilities. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, currently because I'm focused now on missing middle housing, that's really what my focus is. So, uh, I don't even look at things that aren't if they're not zoned for what I want, don't even look at it. Yeah, if it's not in appropriate areas near bus routes, for example, I won't even pay attention. There's so many properties out there for sale that I do have to focus, like you said. So, yeah, for me, it's all about the lot size and the location, and as long as it's zoned for multiplex. So, yeah.
Makes sense, right? Makes good sense. Um, if we I mean, you've built townhomes, you've converted condominiums, redeveloped land, advised clients, I think as a realtor somewhere in the background.
Yeah.
Which side of the business has taught you the most about creating wealth?
Um, I mean, the development side for sure, because it's got so many moving parts. You really have to be on your toes. And it really depends on the shorter cycles where things that are out of your control happen no matter what. The longer term buy and holds, not so much. If you buy the right property, just hold it. There's not a lot that can go wrong necessarily, but development's a different animal, right? So that's probably where I learned the most about, yeah, about wealth creation and turning capital over faster as well, which helps. Yeah.
Um, and as a developer, you've mentioned it a few times now, you're a real strong advocate of this missing middle housing, and that seems to be your focus today. Why do you think that type of housing is so important, and why do you think it's been overlooked for the amount of time it has, and all of a sudden it's so relevant?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that this is my passion right now because um there's benefits I find for especially younger families would be the number one. As most people know that are listening to this, I mean, young families that need, let's say, 3 bedrooms, hard to find that single family home that fits their budget, especially in places like Vancouver or Toronto. Um, However, there's lots of one-bedroom dog crate condos, which also don't fit a growing family that needs 3 bedrooms. So it's always been that missing middle gap in between there. And it's been so hard to do because most of these cities never had a zoning policy for that. So as we know in Vancouver, for example, can't remember the number, but it's something like 90% of the lots were only zoned for single family. So the good news is BC government came in and the city of Vancouver came in and changed that. So now it's a totally new asset class, I guess, that we can look at developing. And again, it checks those boxes. It gets those families into a starter home, maybe under a couple million at least. And even in Victoria, like I'm doing a project, they're all around $1 million for 3 or 4 bedroom, right? So I see the benefit there, and then the other benefit is for the downsizers too. A lot of these older people want to stay in their neighborhoods, and typically they had nowhere else to go in that neighborhood. So if they want to downsize, they have to go downtown to a high rise or a different city, perhaps. Now they can stay in their neighborhood and just live in one of the smaller multiplex units and still be around their friends and neighbors and things like that. So
Well, I think it's certainly addressing a need there. I've looked at these from an investor lens and tried to figure out the numbers and try to find a way to make these work. It's that's a bit challenging, but certainly for somebody that wants to be a homeowner, it's a different story, right?
right, exactly, yeah.
Um, So let's talk a little bit about, I mean, with 20 years experience, you've certainly gone through the market role and seen things go up and down and experienced it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that now. I mean, we're living in BC and the market here is certainly in the Vancouver area is really under stress right now. Tell me about how this impacts your business and what you've learned as you've gone through these cycles.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back to maybe the strategy, like the investors that do the buy and hold. Good for them because they can outlast these market cycles a little easier, right? Again, if you have good tenants, you're paying your mortgage down, rents are probably going up. There's not a lot of stress. On the development side, again, totally different story because there's things that are out of your control, like a war or tariffs. And if you're starting a project or midway through a project, again, it's there's nothing you can do. You could be the best project manager and be the best at design and all that, but you're still affected by external circumstances. So for me, the good news is currently is that my project that I'm working on now, which is 11 townhouses in Victoria, is different from Vancouver. Townhouse prices I look every month. I've got some investors that I update every month, and I'm happy to see that townhouse new construction prices are pretty flat. I think they're down 1% year over year, which I'm happy with considering other markets.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, so that I'm happy about. If you want, I can actually go back to some other projects that I've done before where I
sure.
had to go through those cycles. Yeah. And two of them are quite significant. Sorry. One was Calgary. So I used to live in Calgary. So one of the fourplexes I did there was an oil crash. I believe it was 2015, somewhere around there. Um, And I had this project designed, it was almost approved, and then this happened, and I saw the market was changing a bit. So it's funny, I ended up redoing the plans to have smaller unit sizes
Mm,
because the realtor and I had a couple conversations and we're like, my units were quite big. They were 3 bedroom, like 1,700 square foot units. And he's like, in this market, if it's going to continue like this, he goes, I think those are just too big. Um, and so then we scaled them all back. They're still 3 bedrooms, but we got them down to like 1,200, 1,300 square feet,
mhm,
which counterintuitive, usually you want to build as much as you can for your profit. But in this case, we just didn't think they would even sell being that expensive and that big, right? So all depends. It's a moving target. You're always adapting to things as much as possible. So that was one incident. And then the market turned, everything was built and it was fine. Um, and the other one that was more significant was Kelowna. And we just finished 4 units in Kelowna right when the pandemic started. So I had two investors in on that one, and we had the conversation early. We're like, "This is what's happening." I don't know if you remember, Steve, but CMHC at the time predicted that house prices across Canada were going to go down 18%. I'm not sure if you remember that, but that number sticks in my head. Uh, so we had this conversation with the two investors. We're like, this is what CMHC is predicting. They have more data than I do, so we'll listen to them. What we decided is, you know what, if that's the case, let's sell now, break even, take whatever we can before this happens. And we're all on the same board that if we get our money back with break even, we're absolutely happy. And that's ended up what happened. We sold out, got our money back. Um, in hindsight, had we kept them, because then now we know that after the pandemic, everything went up like
right
crazy.
back up.
So, but we made the decision at the time collectively. And yeah, had we kept them, I think we would have made like 400 grand or something on that versus zero. So, it is what it is, right? But that's part of development. So
It's one of those things. I'm not sure that CMHC is the best source of for advice anymore.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So I think about this now. You've studied and worked internationally, right? I think I read somewhere Sweden, Ukraine,
Yeah.
a few other places. New Zealand comes to mind, right?
That's right.
Um, how did that global perspective influence what you're thinking about now and in your developments here in Canada? How did that influence, or if at all?
Yeah. I think, yeah, probably the only one to me that comes to mind would be like just all about international migration, right? And jobs, especially now that you can work anywhere really with the technology that we have, right? So really it is such a global market. And, when I'm selling real estate as well, it kind of plays into that a little bit. And as we can see now with the demographics, the population decline actually is affecting certain markets too. So, I mean, that definitely plays into it. Maybe the other one would be just cultural awareness too, like living in all these different countries. I actually lived in South Korea as well, so you just become aware of different cultures and there's different needs as well. That plays into it a bit too. But yeah, good question. I've never had that one
Yeah.
before. So,
It just, I've spent a fair bit of time abroad and certainly appreciated architecture in a different way with all of those influences. I was wondering if it had influenced any of your designs. Um, when you look into, let's look at home here in Vancouver today. Um, what do you, yeah, we've got the housing crisis that we have. What do you think needs to happen in order to solve that? Is there,
yeah,
I mean, from all angles. Let's look at
yeah.
it from the tell me
Well,
your thoughts.
well, I will say the governments have helped provincially here, especially with this Bill 44. So that was massive. I still think there could be more help on the financing side, especially for newer, smaller developers that are just getting into this space because it is so new, this whole multiplex thing. Um, there's a lot of homeowners and small developers that just don't have financing like the big developers have, right? So, and I think there's some lenders that are more aware of this. I think Van City's now becoming more attuned to this and helping smaller developers do these things. Uh, I mean, that's probably the number one thing. And I guess the other one would be planning departments. So we all know that the length of time on these projects really affects your end return. I'll give you the quick story on Victoria. So when I started that project, which was 4 years ago now, it was before Bill 44. So the two lots that I bought there, I had to do the rezoning and land assembly for 11 townhouses. And honestly, that rezoning process took 3 years because the city was just that slow with everything. There was times that I submit something or send a message or an email, no one gets back to me for weeks, right? Like, so that's changed as well. So I mean, I'm happy to see that, but I still think that can be improved, and maybe with technology again, maybe some AI can get involved now and get these things approved. Sorry, one last thing on that. Maybe you saw this. I think it was Oklahoma. They said that like multiplex building permits are getting completed in days, like 3 days or something. So, so that's definitely an improvement that we can take up here in BC, right? So
Interesting to see, right? And what is the total impact of that? I know certainly every day that you're holding onto a property and waiting for a permit is costing you money. So it's
yeah,
adding to the expense that then gets rolled over to the
totally.
homeowner.
Yeah.
And if we were wanting to actually bring the price of housing back into something affordable, then certainly that plays a big role.
Yes, absolutely. All those things are take part of it, and fees too, right? Like all the municipal fees. Um, yeah, they all add to that that price increase in the housing. So yeah, there's so many factors, I guess, that we could look at to address that. So
Yeah.
yeah, is that kind of what you were thinking? Like, what are your thoughts on that? By the
Oh
way?
no, certainly. I'm of the opinion that there's a lot of things have to come together. The cities have to be supportive. The CMHC financing has to be something that doesn't change every 15 days. The rules have to be somehow constant. I exaggerate. It's not every 15 days. It's at least 30. Uh, but I think that coupled with, let's solve how we're working as an economy here so that we've actually got people that want to live here instead of the migration away. So that's not
That's
helping
right.
at all, right?
Yeah, that's all part of it too. All the policy involved. Yeah, yeah,
Maybe a little bit of balanced my immigration instead of a total lockout now from one extreme to another.
that's right. That's right.
Um, you co-founded there was the Wealth Development Network, I think, right?
Yeah.
What do you tell me about that and your mission through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So partner and I started this funny enough, again with COVID, we had our first event planned about a week before COVID was announced. And we're like, great, we're gonna do this networking in-person event. And then obviously all the restaurants and bars and stuff were shut down. So we delayed that a good year or whatever. So we started it probably about 3 years ago now. And it's called Wealth Development Network. Simply our mission is just to help people collaborate on building wealth through real estate. So any walk of life, if you're a beginner real estate investor or developer and you have questions, there's going to be someone in that room that will most likely answer it. So
Mm,
it's about bringing ideas together, just sharing ideas, sharing deals, sharing everything really. And and most months we do it once a month. Most months we have speakers that speak on any sort of real estate topic. We've had everything, lawyers, accountants, crowdfunding, storage, so many topics that we've had over the years, which were just amazing. And I think that's why we have such a good following, is because there's a good variety of topics around this. Yeah, and we're gonna keep going. It's actually fun. It's fun to have this network and see people every month in person.
love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So I guess that almost answers the next question. If you're advising a young person with some capital and no real estate experience, what would you tell them to do in order to start investing?
Yeah, exactly. That sort of matches it. Yeah. Join groups like that, Facebook groups, anything like that. Yeah, and just learn as much as possible. Also look for, of course, I mean, you shouldn't have to say it, but reputable, investor partners or developers. We all know people that have gotten burnt in the past, and we always want people to stay away from that if possible. So
Yeah, I think it's a sad truth. Not all deals work out, but it's a test of the mettle of the individual and the character. So
yeah,
you want to make sure you're when you're partnering with people that you've done your due diligence.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they certainly align in values. Um, uh, so Trent, if we were to look forward, say 10 years, what do you think success looks like for Urban Edge and for this missing middle housing and you specifically? Where's the future? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I wanna keep doing what I'm doing, the whole missing middle movement. Uh, I love it. Like, to me, it's not a job, like, it's a more of a hobby, right? So, I talked to my wife a little bit about retirement and whatnot, but she's like, "You'll be bored if you retire anyway, so why would you?" And this is fun for me. Like, I love the creativity around this. I love seeing what these houses that are at end of life anyways, what we could put on those lots, right? So I'm gonna keep doing this. And probably eventually I will retire maybe at some point. More on the probably back to the multifamily, buy and hold strategy, where just buy a decent sized building or build one, and that's your nest egg, right? You get your cash flow off of that, and you live your life out. But yeah, I'm still passionate about the missing middle, and now more so too. It's more about education as well. I think as I've had 20 plus years experience, it's a little bit more about helping other people and giving back a little bit. So yeah, which is fun as well. So yeah.
Of that. Tell me, do you have a different design for your missing middle houses from one to another, or are you following a pattern that's approved by the city and they then just rinse and repeat, or how do you approach that?
Yeah, typically they're all different because they're mostly just different lot arrangements or different size lots or different cities even.
Yeah,
So yeah, I haven't had anything standardized yet at all. That may change now though with all this blanket upzoning that if you know if you have experience on a 50-foot lot in Vancouver, most likely you can use those same plans again, right? As long as it's flat. So yeah, now that there's way more lots that we can build this on, I think that will change. And I'm not sure, Steve, if you probably heard about I think the BC government has it as well, but CMHC has those standardized multiplex plans already done. So,
yeah,
so it's kind of the way of the future, I think, too, which also cuts down costs again, right? So,
certainly, certainly. Although the risk is that it might get boring.
yeah, that's true. Like the Vancouver special, right? We don't want
More
exact
BC
same thing
vibe.
everywhere. So which is good. I think with different developers having different styles, I think that helps too, right? We all have a different take on what it should look like. So, yeah, yeah.
Hey, Trent, is there any last words that you've got for us?
No, not really. Just I'll say thanks for having me on, and I wish you luck in your journey. I know that you and I have talked in the past, and I'm sure we'll talk more in the future. And
Expect we will. Hey, if
yeah,
people want to reach out to you, how should they do so?
yeah, easiest is just email. So T Praski, TPRASKI at urbanedgeinvestments.com is the easiest one, and I'll get a hold of you from there.
Love it. Love
Yeah,
it. Well, I hope to bump into you again soon. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's actually been a real pleasure talking to you and sharing your journey here. I think you've got a lot of fascinating perspective and experience that's really worth learning more about.
awesome. Okay, thanks, Steve.
Thanks so much.
Okay, go Canada, go, by the way.
Go Canada, go. Hey.
Okay, take care.